Today we're going to be reading The Wife of Bath's Tale, What Women Most Desire, from the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. In the old days of glory, when King Arthur's round table stood in Camelot, chivalrous knights sat and talked of love. Damsels embroidered tokens of love, squires composed love songs, and jousts were fought over love. Hardly a word was spoken that was not of love. Only when men and women met, did they talk about the weather instead. "How blue the sky is, lady," a young man would say. "And how warm the breeze," she would reply. "And how is your mother?" he would ask. "Quite well, considering the weather," she would answer. Then he would bow, and she would smile, and they would go their separate ways. So it was at Camelot until the hot-blooded Sir Salvio met one day with a lady in a wood. "How blue the sky is today," said the lady, smiling encouragingly. "Almost as blue as your lovely eyes, lady," he said. The lady blushed. "How prettily the water glistens in the brook." "Almost as sweet to taste as a kiss of your lips," said the knight, and he helped himself to a kiss. The lady picked up her green skirts and shrieked and swooped like a parrot in and out of the trees all the way back to the court. So the over-romantic knight was summoned before the assembly of the Round Table. "This most starless of knights," said King Arthur, "has cast his shadow over an honorable lady in the wood. What punishment should he suffer?" In one voice, the knights cried, "Death! Cut off his head!" Sir Salvio was most dismayed, but he bowed low from the waist, and Arthur unsheathed his sword. "One last question," said the knight, straightening up again. "Perhaps the excellent Queen Guinevere can tell me, what exactly did I do to offend the lady in the wood?" "What did you do?" exclaimed the queen. "You spoke of kisses when you should have been talking about the weather." "Ah, I see," Sir Salvio sighed, and bowed from the waist again. "I don't think I understand women." The shadow of the sword touched his bare neck. The ladies of the court began to faint, like swaths of corn behind a sickle. They fell daintily to the floor. The queen herself looked with regret on Sir Salvio. His hair was the color of powdered sage, and as curly as the tendrils of a honeysuckle. "Well, well," she said, fluttering her hands. "Since this young man seeks to understand women, let him answer me this riddle. Let him tell me what women most desire, and he shall live." Arthur leaned wearily on his sword. "You have 1 year and a day, boy, in which to discover what women most desire." As Sir Salvio left the court, his knees trembled and his heart still pounded. What chance did he stand of answering the queen's riddle? What man can guess what a woman is thinking? What do women most desire, he pondered, as his horse shambled along the country roads. Beauty, surely. But then he remembered money. Surely women wanted gold more than anything in the world. He passed a young farm girl on the road, arm in arm with a shepherd. "Tell me, good girl, what do you want most in this world? To be rich or to be beautiful?" The farm girl hung more heavily on the shepherd's arm and sighed. "Neither, sir. All I want is to be married." "Aha!" The knight took out a quill and wrote on the sleeve of his shirt. Then he turned back, thinking to take the answer to the queen at once. On the way, he passed a convent where nuns as white as cannikins of milk in the morning sun were tending a field of beans. "What that girl told me cannot be true," thought Sir Salvio with dismay. "So many women choose to live unmarried." Just then, he passed a roadside shrine. In front of it, a woman was down on her knees, praying fervently. "Forgive me interrupting your prayers," said Sir Salvio, "but what is it that you ask so earnestly of God?" The woman got painfully to her feet and took up her baskets again. "Only what every woman wants, I suppose," she said bitterly. "I want to have a baby." "Aha," he said, and noted her words on his sleeve. By sunset, there were 12 other notes written below it. Sir Salvio's heart sank lower and lower. Only one answer could be right. How was he to choose it from the rest? He fingered his bare neck and thought of the sword awaiting it. Further and further afield he traveled. Taking ship, he sailed to a hot and passionate country where gypsy women dressed in scarlet, and their dark skins sweated as they danced tarantellas under a tambourine moon. "What do women most desire?" he asked a girl as she whirled past his stirrup, tossing her lace-edged petticoats. "Fun, of course," cried the gypsy. "Fun and laughter and love and music and passion and the clash of the moon and the spark of the stars, and to stay young forever." "Thank you very much." He could find no scrap of sleeve on which to write all of her answers. On and on he traveled, through lands of ice where women would not part their frozen lips to answer him, through wastelands where all the women wanted was the next meal for their children. Finally, time ran short, and he turned back to keep his appointment with the king's deadline. To be one day late at Camelot would dishonor him, for the other knights would think he was fearful of the sword's edge. So it was that he came to be riding at a gallop through the forests of Dean on the last day, when he saw an old crone boiling up water in a cauldron. "Old woman," he shouted out, "boil my shirt, for I have slept in it this year past, and today I must present myself before the Queen of England." He handed her the shirt on which he had scrawled the answer of every woman he had met. The old hag held up each sleeve in turn. "What's this, then?" she lisped through two black teeth. "Love, money, passion, power, beauty, children, long life, fame. These are the stuff of women's wishes. Mind your own business, Weasley one, and boil the shirt. I'm sick and tired of asking what women most desire." The shirt plunged into the cauldron, and the bubbles that rose gave strangely feminine sighs. "What women most desire? Oh, I can tell you that, lording, but my answer has a price. What I desire most is to marry a handsome knight with hair of just your color and curls of your kind. If I was to tell you the answer, you would have to marry me. I'd gladly marry even you, Dame Cockroach, for the sake of the right answer. But I've heard so many now that I dare say I've already heard yours from someone else." The old crone shrugged her humped shoulders and gave him back his shirt, dripping and steaming. "What women most desire is to have their own way in everything," she said. "Fine, fine," Sir Salvio galloped off, intent on keeping his appointment with the Queen. Knee to knee at the round table, the knights of King Arthur sat playing cards. The ladies sat talking of love among themselves. "I hardly expected to see you again, boy," said the king. The women's chatter subsided. The knights at the table turned to listen. "And have you found an answer to my riddle?" asked the queen. Sir Salvio knelt and kissed the hem of her robe. "Madam, I have 1,000. Then he searched his shirt sleeves for just one that might save his life. But the shining whiteness of the linen almost blinded him, and just as the sleeves were clean of words, so was his memory a blank. The only answer he could recollect was the last one he had been told. What women most desire is to have their own way in everything. "Oh, sorcery!" squeaked the queen, in delicious horror. "No man ever worked that out for himself. I'm glad you have saved your life, Sir Salvio, for your hair is the color of powdered sage and as curly as the tendrils of the honeysuckle. But who told you the answer?" "I did, Queen Guinevere," croaked an elderly voice. And there, perched on the back of the knight's horse where it stood tethered by the door, was the old forest crone. Her legs were as thin and knobbled as a chicken's. Here and there she had hair, but it grew only where it should not. The ladies of the court put their handkerchiefs to their mouths and gave little cries of distaste. I told this fair knight the answer, and in return he promised to marry me. Don't look so surprised to see me, sweetheart. I jumped up behind you as you put on your shirt. I did not want to delay our marriage by so much as a single day.